Welcome back, S'mores, to Beyond the Campfire. I am your host, Will. I'm here with Sahil Steven, or as we like to just call him Steve. Everybody else likes to call him Sahil because that's his first name, but we know him as Steve. And yeah, today we got a really great episode for you guys. If this is your first time watching us, make sure you give us a follow at our Twitter and our Instagram at Beyond Campfire. You can find us on TikTok at Beyond the Campfire. You can find us on YouTube at Beyond the Campfire Podcast. If you like watching the video version, if you like the audio version, well, you can find us anywhere you can get a podcast. Obviously, you found us because you're listening to us. And yeah, we also have a Reddit now. We have not made a community yet for that. We will probably do that shortly. And then, of course, we got Patreon too. We got so many things doing now, man. It's trying to remember everything we're doing. Today we got a
It's good
really,
stuff, though.
really,
Good
it's a lot
stuff.
of stuff. Yeah, but hey, we got a good Valentine's Day themed episode. I guess you could say it's Valentine's Day themed because there's women seducing
In
men.
a dark, twisted way, maybe.
Yeah, do
There is
women
some
seduce men?
some kind of attracting going on, although whether it's attracting to find a wife like Will did a few years ago, or whether it's attraction to your drowning death,
Yeah,
that's what we have. So,
yeah. So we'll
uh,
be talking today about Stephen's ex, the
uh,
Siren.
yes, the sirens from Greek mythology. So we will get into what they are, what they do. Uh, they've appeared in a few Greek mythology stories, not a ton of them, but I'll read the most famous one from Odysseus, and then we'll end with a Chat GPT jet. Wow, I can't speak today. A Chat GPT story of me and Will encountering some sirens. So
If Stephen does not end up flirting to convert in the Siren story, I am going to be pissed.
you know what? I could tell ChatGPT to add that in if you really want me to.
Go ahead, add it in. Stephen falls in love with the Siren, and he gets married to the Siren and
Well, I'm
live
not gonna do that.
happily ever after, having fish babies. There you go. Yeah. So what we talking about the Siren today? I kind of was see if anybody doesn't know, I'm the one that kind of comes up with the episodes. I'm the one who figures out what we're going to be talking about, and we kind of have like a theme going recently. We kind of did our first year. We did a lot of well-known stuff. While Steven does this, I'll talk. We did Owlman, Mothman. When we did Mothman, Owlman's kind of a little unknown. We talked about Stonehenge. We talked about some haunted locations, but we've kind of stuck to sort of mainstream stuff. So we're kind of taking these first few episodes of this year, and maybe the rest of the episodes will kind of not be. There'll be some things you never heard of. I
I was
mean, you've
gonna
heard of
say
sirens.
this one's a little bit different from some of the stuff we've done before. Uh, but hey, I like it. I like getting into all the different things. I mean, the show is called Beyond the Campfire. We can talk about almost anything. So,
Yeah. Well, technically speaking, would we consider sirens a cryptid?
in some sense, yeah. Although I don't think there's been any siren sightings recently, if ever. But
Well, that's interesting because when I looked it up, because when I was getting the information for this, or not, and I'm obviously not the one that did the episode. When I was looking up what to do for this episode, there were things that were telling me that there's a town where men had actually reported seeing sirens.
really,
So there have been siren reportings.
okay. Well, shoot, maybe I should have looked that up, but okay, we'll. I could actually probably look it up real quick right now. But we are 4 minutes in, and if you don't know what a siren is, you're probably like, "What the heck are these guys talking about?" So let's talk about what sirens are. Sirens are from Greek mythology, and they are, depending on which version of the story you're reading, half women, half bird creatures, or half women, half fish, basically mermaid type creatures. So you either way, the elements that's the same is it's a woman, which is why Will has been making the jokes about me and them that they have. So you have a woman, and it's crossed with either a bird or a fish. And what these things do is that when sailors would pass by the sirens would sing a very beautiful song. So something that's consistent throughout all siren stories is that they have a beautiful, amazing voice. Not quite like Taylor Swift per se, but maybe more like an Adele or something like that. I don't know if you had any musicians that you could try to think of, Will, but but um, to all the Taylor Swift Swifties out there that watch the show, I apologize for
Yeah, now they're throwing their phones against the wall.
taking a dig at y'all. But
And
but
there goes half our viewers. Awesome. Thanks, Steve.
I
Awesome.
know, right? Yeah. Do we have a lot of Swifties? What we actually probably do because a lot of our friends really
Yeah.
Swift, so it's very possible. Uh, but yeah, again, they are female human-like beings with alluring voices. They first appeared in the Odyssey, which, if you don't know what the Odyssey is, it's usually taught in American high schools, but I know not all of our listeners are in America. But the Odyssey is a tale of a man named Odysseus who fought in the Trojan War, and after the war ends, he goes
Yep.
on a 10-year journey back to his home. Now, it shouldn't have taken him that long, but there was a lot of misadventures in between. The Sirens is one of
Uh,
these misadventures.
did you know they're actually making Christopher Nolan's making an Odyssey movie?
Is he really?
Yep.
I would go watch that. I like Christopher
It's
Nolan.
got it's gonna have Tom Holland in it.
Oh, interesting. Is
Yep.
he
So he's
is he playing Odysseus?
I don't know if he's playing. He might be playing Odysseus. I don't know. I know though that
Yeah.
I've seen that I think they started filming and it probably will come out next year. But it's the next Christopher Nolan movie and it's the Odyssey. So it's got Tom Holland in it.
Okay. Well, so back to the sirens. Depending on the version of the story, you either have two sirens. There's never one. There's always at least two, but sometimes you can have as many as up to eight. Uh,
Wow.
Theories of where they came from. Most of the stories say that they are the daughters of the river god. I'm going to mispronounce this. Achilles. So Achilles is this river god. I guess. I guess he hooked up with some humans or birds or
Is it
stuff.
Achilles or Achilles? Is it Achilles?
It's not Achilles because Achilles
Yeah.
is a hero that was a human.
Yeah.
It's spelled Achelous.
Yeah. I think you said that
Alias.
right.
I don't know. So yeah, most of them say that the sirens are the daughters of him. Some of them call them the winged maiden daughters of the earth, which the earth in Greek mythology is either Gaia or Catan, depending
Hmm.
on which thing you're doing. So it's the daughters of something, usually some kind of divine or semi divine being. And at some point, they kind of shack up on this island and decide that they're going to sing and kill sailors for
Hmm.
their life.
Kinky.
Uh, I guess so, man. So the two that are usually talked about are their names are Pasayane and Agalope. But if you have tales where there's more than two, you'll also have Telextia, Agalophaim, Parathea Nope, Legia, Lacusia. This is going to go on some kind of compilation at the end of the
Steven can't say names.
Suidas, which kind of sounds like suicide, which I guess they kind of make
Oh.
sisters do. So, yeah. Anyway, you got a bunch of them, but
Hmm.
typically they have the face of a woman because if they had the face of a bird, I don't think sailors would be as attracted to them. So they usually have the face of a woman, um, and then their lower half is usually either a woman or a bird or a mermaid. Um, some of the pictures I looked up were a little bit explicit. Some of them were bare chested, so I'm not gonna show that. But I mean, I guess if they are trying to attract sailors, I guess that's part of it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, usually they're usually quite beautiful. But pretty much all the sailors would say that the most beautiful thing about them wasn't their face or their bodies, but it was their voices.
Yeah.
So, because often the sailors would hear the sirens before they saw them. Actually, in some cases, they actually never even saw the sirens because they died before they saw the sirens.
Aw.
Yeah, but
Catfished.
I know, but their voice alone was enough to make sailors say, I want to go over there and I want to meet or see whatever this is. So,
Mm, that'll
like,
do it.
yeah. So I mean, attractiveness aside, it really is their voice that is the main threat that
Yeah.
attracts these sailors to their death. So that's what sirens are. Let's get into the most famous story. So this is when Odysseus and his crew are
Hmm.
sailing past
Hmm.
and warding off or trying to attempt to ward off the sirens. So
Right.
I brought this ship. I have these because I'm a little bit of a nerd and I like buying things like this. So I'm gonna have this ship in front of me just because I don't know, it can set the scene a little bit as I read this story.
The people listening on audio are like, "What is
I
going
know,
on?"
yeah. If you're audio only, you really should go to the YouTube and get to see this ship. I'll describe it a little bit for you. It's a brown ship with I don't really know nautical terms, but it has three of these sails. The
Hmm.
sails are divided up into about four pieces. We got one anchor, black anchor over here,
Hmm.
and yeah, this is just a fine work of woodmanship. So you know, you
Yep.
really should hop over to the YouTube if you're listening on audio only. But all right, here we go. Let's set the scene.
It's a boat on a hoe.
It's
It's
a
a hoe on a boat. Boats and hoes.
oh man. All right, here we go. So, well, I guess this story is kind of that in some sense.
Yep.
All right. So, all right, it is about 1000 BC, some several hundred years. Oh, 800 BC. 800 years before Christ. You have the Trojan War, which has taken place. Odysseus is returning home to the island of Ithaca. He is a war hero who never wanted to fight in the first place. However, he's not afraid to fight. He didn't want to leave his family for such a long time. He tried to pretend to be a lunatic,
Mm.
but it failed and he was sent off to war. Now the war is over. He's on his ship and he is on his way back home. So, hey, if
Uh,
you're on the YouTube, you're getting some interesting things right now. So,
yeah. It's interesting.
okay. Uh, Odysseus ends up landing on this mysterious island where he gets stuck for a while. This goddess on the island, the goddess Circe, falls in love with him,
Yep.
but she tries to get him to stay. But Odysseus is like, "Hey, girl, I got a wife. I want to go back to her. Sorry, but I'm not staying here. I gotta go."
Right.
So Circe, she's sad, but she decides to give Odysseus some advice, and she warns him about these creatures called the Sirens. They pretend to be beautiful women with amazing voices, and they try to allure sailors with their voice. They sing, the sailors come up to the thing, and before they know it, they crash into some rocks, and then their ship sinks.
Yikes.
Because these sirens, they're not looking to hook up or get married or start a beautiful family, have some kids.
No.
No, they're not looking for that. They are looking to kill these sailors, presumably for fun. I
Yep. I guess. Eat you out in other ways.
so, golly. This is the Valentine's Day episode, so yeah. Anyway, all right.
Yikes.
So Odysseus is like, well, shoot, I don't want my journey to end with my boat hitting some rocks, hitting some rocks, and drowning. That's not that's not how he envisions his life. This man wants to
Yeah.
get back to his wife, right?
Yeah.
He's talking to Cersei and he's trying to think of like, man, how can I defeat these things, right?
Right.
So here's some of the advice that Cersei is giving. So she said, well, this is the warning she gives first. So this is what she says, and I'm just going to read straight from the Odyssey. Cersei says, first, you will come to the Sirens, who enchant all who come near to them. If anyone unwarily draws in too close and hears the singing of the Sirens, his wife and children will never welcome him home again, for they sit in a green field and warble him to death with the sweetness of their song. There's a great heap of dead men's bones lying all around, with the flesh still rotting off of them.
Mm.
Therefore, pass these sirens by, and stop your men's ears with wax, that none of them may hear. But if you can, listen yourself, for you may get the men to bind you as you stand upright on a crosspiece halfway up to the mast. They may lash up the rope's end to mast itself, that you may have the pleasure of listening.
Oh.
If you beg and pray the men to unloose you, they must bind you faster.
Mm.
So Circe has the hots for Odysseus. She kind of wants to help him out a little bit, so she's like, "Hey, tell all your men to plug in their ears with wax. You, however, I want you to hear the beauty. I want you to hear the beauty of these sirens singing.
Yeah.
So all your men, they're gonna be working the ship. They're gonna wax up their ears. We're gonna tie you up on the mast with ropes, and you're not gonna have your ears uncovered. You're actually gonna hear the sirens sing. However, you're gonna be tied up, so you can't
Yeah.
run to them. You can't jump
No.
overboard. You
No.
can't direct the ship to them.
No.
But you'll get to hear the sweetness of their
Yeah.
song, but you'll be tied up.
You can look, but you can't touch.
Exactly. So Odysseus is like, "Yep, this is a good plan. I'm gonna do it."
Yep.
He gets on his boat. They leave Circe behind. Odysseus looks around. He sees the island. He sees the
Hmm.
green meadows. He sees the golden sun. He sees the beautiful island, and he's like, "Oh shoot, here comes the island."
Oh boy.
This is what Odysseus says to his people. "That is the island of the Sirens. Circe warned me to steer clear of it, for the Sirens are beautiful but deadly." Sounds like half of my exes.
Yeah, it's just like all women.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. All right. Then he says this: "They sit beside the ocean, combing their long, golden hair and singing to passing sailors. But anyone who hears their song is bewitched by its sweetness, and they are drawn to that island like iron to a magnet. And their ship smashes upon rocks as sharp as spears, and no sailors may join the victims of the sirens in a meadow filled with skeletons."
Mm.
So, long story short, taking a large block of beeswax, a gift from Circe, Odysseus breaks it into small pieces, stuffs it in his dude's ears, and tells them to not listen to the song of the sirens under any circumstances. They sail past. Oh, wait. The men tie up Odysseus. So Odysseus is tied up on the
Yep.
mast. He's got all the ropes tied around him, so he can't move. He can't do anything. And then Odysseus, as they're passing by, hears the song. I'm not going to attempt to sing it, but this is what the sirens sing. "Odysseus, bravest of heroes, draw near to
Mm.
us on our green island. Odysseus, we'll teach you wisdom. We'll give you love, sweeter than honey. The
Mm.
song we sing, soothe away sorrow, and in our arms you will be happy. Odysseus, bravest of heroes, the songs we sing, we will bring you peace."
Yeah. They'll bring you peace. Death.
I know.
The sweet relief of
I,
death.
I wonder how they knew who Odysseus was. Now, he is a famous war hero, but I wonder if they have some kind of magical abilities to
Yeah.
sing. So, like,
Oh, God.
if they saw you, I wonder if they would be like, William, the cowboy, master of the cattle, great, like something like that. Or with
Mhm.
me, they'd be like,
Stephen, the
the,
master of theology, the
right.
greatest lawyer in all of the
I
lands.
know something to kind of hype you up. But
We know you're lonely, Stephen. You've not been very
uh,
successful.
all right, now, all right,
Come to us, Stephen.
all right. Here we go. So it says, when he hears the words and the music, the song enchants Odysseus' heart. He longs to plunge into the waves and swim to the island. He wants to embrace the sirens. Now, this is a married man, so this is
Yeah.
a powerful song at work. Crazy. But nodding and scowling at the earplugged men, he urges them to free him. Expecting this reaction, the men row harder and harder with their oars. To Odysseus, who is bewitched by the song, the sirens look as beautiful as Helen of Troy. There's a little bit of side note, but the Trojan War kind of starts because of Helen of Troy, but that's a side
Always women.
note. I know. To his crew, made deaf with beeswax, the sirens seem like hungry monsters with vicious, crooked claws. So, this is really interesting. As they're passing by, the men on the ship can actually see the sirens now, and they can see that they're singing, but because they can't actually hear their
Mhm.
singing, they look over, they see that the sirens are beautiful, but they're also seeing like their fish and bird bodies. They're
Oh,
like, they're like, oh, this is actually kind of gross. So,
so they
um,
catfish.
yeah, they're not Gen Z that gets turned on by these weird half fish, half animal things. No, back then people actually had some standards.
Furries.
So just because the top half was beautiful, if they looked at that bottom half and saw it was weird, they're like, no, I
Yeah,
don't
it's like
care about
women
the
with
top.
makeup.
Right. You get Gen Z guys now though. They you got some weird kinks. Just
Yeah, they would be jumping in that water. They wouldn't even have to hear the song. They'd see him and be like, "Oh, fish lady."
yeah. So moral of the story: don't watch hentai, man, or corn. Don't do it. It will fry your brain and make you attracted to some really weird stuff.
Yeah, bird people.
Yeah. Life advice with Steven. So, all right.
This
Don't watch hentai, don't watch corn. So,
it's the,
the men row faster. Eventually, the singing stops. They get far away from the island, and Odysseus comes to his senses, Um, if you've ever had a post nut clarity, I think this is what Odysseus was experiencing. So, uh,
yeah. No, it would be post nut clarity.
yeah. So, anyway, because of the advice of the goddess Ceres, Odysseus avoided a catastrophe. He'll face many more trials and temptations ahead, but he survived this one. So,
There we
there,
go.
there you
Oh boy, that was woo. Never thought I'd hear those words coming out of Steven's mouth.
go.
Post nut clarity.
Hey, it's something that happens.
Yeah,
But yeah, you men out
we've all
there,
had our moments.
don't be gooning. More life advice with Steven. No gooning. All right.
Only goon if you're married,
Well, I
but be
guess with
careful.
their wife. So,
Be careful, because gooning leads to kids.
uh,
Yeah, this is this.
depending on where
You
you do
know.
it, depending on where you do it. So, hey,
Well, hey,
well,
technically speaking,
go ahead.
all the other episodes were filmed in advance, and this one we're filming the week before because we got all caught up. But at this point, my kid is here, so I know what gooning does. It leads to children. Okay.
Will's kid is here. Yes, got
Yep.
a
He's
beautiful
almost a
child.
month at the time of this episode. He's a month old. He's doing great.
There you go. There you go. So, oh, Haley is going to have some interesting reels for this episode.
Oh
So,
gosh, it's sad that the week's only 5 days. We'll
all
get
right.
full
Well,
reels.
that's about all I have for the history and the tradition.
Yep.
Now we're going to have a little bit of a modern take. So, me and Will have our own encounter with the sirens, according to ChatGPT. So,
Yep.
here we go. This story is called Will and Steven's Escape from the Sirens.
Yeah. Except I think Steven changed it to where it's Will escapes, Steven stays behind, gets married.
I added some changes. I think probably I actually haven't read it with the changes, but if I had to guess, I'm probably like Odysseus. I'm probably like about to jump in the water and swim, and I think you're probably gonna hold me back. That's my
Yeah.
guess, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Maybe we'll see.
All right, Will and Stevens escape from the sirens. Oh, they actually made it a little bit shorter.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna ask ChatGPT to make it a little bit longer because I
make
was
it
like,
longer.
make it longer.
Yep. So we'll have Steven falling in love with sirens. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh boy, here we go. All right, let me go ahead and read the story. So I imagine we're probably going to be on the ship, but if we're not, well,
No, we went to the island. We went boots on the ground.
all right. The desert stretched wide and empty. a land of gold and dust beneath the endless sky. Will adjusted his Stetson and squinted at the sun dipping low on the horizon. The air was too still, too quiet. His horse pawed nervously at the ground. They gave you a horse.
Look at that.
Beside him, Stephen. Oh, they made me the other kind of Indian. Let me change that real quick.
Oh, baby. That's why I always have to tell it. I'm like, listen, okay, Steven, he's Indian, but he's the Indian from India, not the other one. People get
Right, right.
confused.
So, yeah, man.
People
Yeah,
get
that happens. That happens to you too, right?
racist.
Hey, they're they're doing their best. I suppose. So.
It's Native American, not Indian. Racist chat GBT.
All right. Okay. Here it is, updating again. So, okay. Beside him, Stephen sat tall in his saddle, his deep brown skin glowing in the fading sunlight. His neatly tied black hair. Oh, all right. Well, they're giving me a man bun for whatever.
I
Showed he
mean,
was
he had it
no
at one time, guys.
great traveler. Around his neck hung a silver cross, a reminder of both his Christian faith and the land he left behind. Hey, when you put Indian from India, I guess that's what it does.
Yeah.
They had been tracking a herd of stolen cattle, their journey leading them deep into a canyon whispered in the stories of old settlers. Stephen's dark eyes scanned the rocky cliffs. I have read of places like this, he murmured. My ancestors tell them this. They're still making me a Native American, I think.
This is hilarious.
You know what? I'll still roll with it. Whatever.
Roll with it.
Actually, okay, well, actually, this is a fun fact about me, actually.
Uh-huh.
So some of you might know this, some of you might not. Um, my family is from India, specifically a place called Punjab. Now, Punjab was actually the last place that Alexander the Great or took over before
Huh.
his guys got tired.
I thought you
Now,
were gonna be like, I think I'm gonna be like, yeah, I've technically been. I'm an American citizen. I was born in America, so you know.
no. Well, so here's where the fun fact came in. So Alexander the Great, obviously, his men, they were Greek. A lot of them actually stayed in Punjab and intermarried with the Indians in Punjab. They intermarried with the Punjabi people. And actually, if you look at some, there's not many now, but there's still some statues in Punjab today where you see like Greek drawings, but the men look like they're half Greek and half Indian.
So does Steven have Greek in him?
I might have some Greek in me, but
You do a
here's where
DNA
it gets a
test.
little bit interesting. Punjabis are a lot lighter than the rest of India,
Mm-hmm.
and our hair is like now our hair has actually become more Indian now because Greeks at that time kind of had more curly hair,
Yeah.
but our hair is a little bit different too. So some people speculate that Punjabis are actually kind of a mixed race between Greeks and Indians. Now it's been about 2,000 years, so I think the Greek is very very small now.
Yeah.
But to this day, Punjabis still tend to be lighter than most other Indians.
Yeah.
So, fun
Hey
fact:
man,
the
maybe we'll do a Patreon episode where Steven takes a DNA test.
maybe, but ChatGPT is not too far off when it's saying I'm talking about my ancestors and I'm
Yeah.
talking about the Greeks. So,
Hey, let's
okay.
roll with it.
Anyway, I'm gonna start. I keep interrupting. I'm just gonna start the story over from the beginning, and
Oh,
we'll go from there. Sorry, guys. Okay. The desert stretched wide and empty, a land of gold and dust beneath the endless sky. Will adjusted his Stetson and squinted at the sun dipping low on the horizon. The air was too still, too quiet. His horse pawed nervously at the ground. Beside him, Stephen sat tall in his saddle, his deep brown skin glowing in the fading sunlight. His neatly tied black hair was tucked behind his ears, and his clothes, a mix of Western practicality and the fine linen of his homeland, showed he was no ordinary traveler. Around his neck hung a silver cross, a reminder of his Christian faith. They had been tracking stolen cattle herd, their journey leading them deep into a canyon whispered about in stories of old settlers. Stephen's dark eyes scanned the rocky cliffs. I've read of places like this, he murmured, his accent still carrying the lilt of his mother tongue.
Huh.
They're giving me an Indian accent. You know what? Maybe I should speak in with an Indian accent. I'm going to do it.
Okay.
My ancestors tell of spirits who ensnare men's souls with song. And the Greeks? He exhaled, gripping his cross. The Greeks called them sirens. Will spat into the dust. Well, I don't care much what the Greeks call them, as long as we don't end up dead. A sound drifted through the canyon, soft as a whisper, heavy as thunder. A song. It wasn't just a tune, it was a feeling. Will stiffened. He had heard plenty of music in his day, fiddles at barn dances, harmonicas around a fire,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing like this.
Mm.
The sound curled around his mind, wrapping tight like a lasso, pulling him forward. His grip on the reins slackened. His breath hitched. Will's horse whinnied and stepped back, but Will barely noticed. Will? Stephen said sharply. The cowboy took a step forward. His boots scraped against a rock, but he didn't feel it. The melody promised things he didn't understand, things he had always wanted, but never knew how to name. Will! A sudden weight hit his head. A dull pain spread across his skull. Ow! He stumbled, rubbing his temple. What in tarnation? Stephen stood beside him, a thick law book in his hand. He had smacked him clean across the head with it.
Oh gosh.
Stephen gave him a half smirk. You were slipping, my friend. Will blinked. That song. They use temptation, Stephen said. We fight with discipline. He gestured at the shadows ahead. Figures emerged from the canyon mist. Tall women, their eyes pale as the moon, their lips curved into knowing smiles.
Uh
Their
oh.
skin shimmered like water in the firelight. Their song wove through the air, thick and heady, pulling at the edges of reason. Instead of drawing his gun or preparing to flee, Stephen did something unexpected. Uh-oh.
Oh.
He smiled. Ah, he said, stepping forward. You sing beautifully. His voice was smooth, confident. But tell me, have you ever considered a different tune?
Oh God.
The higher
Oh God.
the sirens hesitated, their song faltering for the briefest moment. Will got Stephen, what in the hell are you doing? Stephen ignored him. He reached up and touched his cross. You don't have to keep luring men to destruction. There is another way. His voice warms, inviting. The Lord Jesus offers redemption to all, even to those who think they are beyond saving.
Jesus, Stephen is literally bringing salvation to sirens.
One of the sirens, the tallest in the group, stepped closer. Her hair flowed like dark water over her shoulders. You think we need saving? Stephen nodded. I know you do. The sirens exchanged glances. Something like curiosity flickered across their faces. Stephen took another step forward. I have heard of your kind in the old scrolls and tomes. You were once servants of the gods, were you not? He clasped his hands together in a calm, prayer like stance. You were given voices as gifts, not weapons. Another siren smirked. You are well read for a mortal.
Mm.
Stephen smiled. I am a student of law, and in all laws, divine, natural, and written, there is justice. There is grace. There is redemption. He paused. What if, instead of leading souls to ruin, you led them to salvation? For a long moment, there was silence. The canyon felt frozen in time. Then, the tall siren laughed. It was not a cruel laugh, nor was it kind. It was old, ancient, and knowing, like the wind through the ruins of a forgotten civilization. You amuse me, traveler, she said. You speak as though you understand us. But we are eternal. Her voice turned sharp, slicing through the air. We do not need saving. Another siren chuckled darkly. Your god has no power over us. Stephen exhaled, shaking his head. Even the most stubborn can change. The sirens' expressions darkened. Their song shifted, no longer sweet, but sharp, a
Uh-oh.
storm of sound rising through the canyon. Will rolled his shoulders. Well, if sweet talking won't work, how about a little cowboy stubbornness? He drew his revolver. Cover your ears. He fired a shot into the sky. The crack of the gunshot split the air like lightning. The sirens shrieked. Their forms flickered in candlelight in the wind. Their song shattered into chaos, their melody unraveling as if a bullet had struck them deeper than flesh. Dust swirled, the canyon trembled, and then, just as suddenly as they had come, the sirens vanished, dissolving into mist, their voices fading into silence. The desert was quiet once more. Will exhaled, shoving his revolver back into the holster. Remind me to let you whack me with a book if I ever get spellbound again. Stephen smirked. The law can be painful, my friend. They mounted their horses and rode away, the wind carrying only the sound of hoofbeats. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, Will glanced at Stephen. You know, I think I owe the good Lord a prayer of thanks. And maybe you too, if you weren't so busy seducing sirens. Stephen chuckled. Well, next time I'll bring an even heavier book. And
There
with
you go.
that, they disappeared into the desert, leaving the haunted canyon behind.
Look at that. Not the ending I was hoping for. I was kind of wondering if that felt like Steven would be like flash forward 15 years and Will comes to visit Steven. He's got a siren wife and
Hey,
siren kids.
I didn't ask it to do all that.
No, but I feel like mine would have because mine kind of remembers us a little bit. Anyways, yeah, that's the siren episode. Happy Valentine's
Maybe,
Day.
maybe on a Patreon episode, you can make your own version of the story.
You know what's interesting
What's that?
is I put you remember I put on our Instagram. I was like, "Do you like the ChatGPT stories? Yes or no?" And majority of the votes were yes. We like the ChatGPT stories, especially if I take out my two employees' votes and my wife's vote. Then yes, still wins. Um, but I was thinking about making like a book, like with all the stories from ChatGPT. Like obviously I'll rework it to where it flows better and everything, but make it into where there's like a book and have different volumes. So like for our first year, like I'd go back and have us actually encounter Owlman and Mothman and like do that kind of thing because we didn't do ChatGPT stories for them, but have it all be like for the first year of the podcast, volume one, for the second year, volume two. So maybe in volume two, if I do this, volume two will have a different siren story to where Stephen falls in love with a siren.
Yeah. Hey, for a little bit though, I think I was working. I
Yeah,
think working. I think I mean I got them to stop singing for a moment.
yeah. I was expecting something different, but
All right, my friend. Well, hey, I think that about does it for this episode. That's kind of all I have. Did you have anything else to add?
mm. Well, we got a really great episode next week. We're actually going to be in person.
We will be.
Yeah.
Yes, finally. When was the last time we did an in-person episode?
I think the last time we did an in-person
Maybe May or
episode,
June.
I don't think it was May or June. I think we might have done one in July or August, maybe.
You think so? Maybe.
Maybe.
You can go look at the archive, but I think it was May or June. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Either way,
But if you guys want us to be more in person, then you will follow us, you will like, you'll comment, you'll share us with your friends so that we get views, so that hopefully we can, not be on a computer screen and we can actually be in a nice little office. Because I'm really excited because I want to be in an office because I want to have cool decorations and not just a window
right.
with a birdhouse.
I got a little bit of decorations. I kind of got those two crosses in the background.
And then is that your degree?
That's when I'm not in my car though.
Yeah.
So
Good old where's Waldo? Where's Steven? But yeah, that'll do it for our Valentine's Day episode. We hope you guys probably listened with your loved one. It's probably not the best Valentine's Day date, but hey, we're entertainment. Dinner and a show.
there you go.
Thank y'all again for watching, and make sure you guys, like I said, follow us, comment, like, and subscribe on all of our platforms, and be careful of what music you listen to. You never know; it could kill you.